Wait a minute. Hear this.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num.
What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to another episode of the Birdy Num Num podcast. Sanjay Manaktala here, having a good month and a good week, and I hope you all are having a wonderful week, a wonderful month. And yet again, I apologize for slipping the last few weeks by not coming out with the weekly podcast. I am sorry, but let's get straight into it, folks. Let's talk about something that's been all over the news. I've been a little bit busy, so I was car shopping and I was looking for places to live here in California and just generally working on a bunch of stuff. But like many of you, I was following the news and I was seeing all the stories online about, unfortunate circumstances with actors in Bollywood and mental health and all of that stuff. So I thought, why not? And disclaimer, because here in America, I must tell you, I am not a doctor. I am not a lawyer. I am not a certified mental health professional, but I would like to talk about mental health for dummies, if you will, or at least I'm a dummy in the sense where I grew up, like many of you, watching my mom and my family go to these bhajans and being religious and doing pujas and thinking I'm so much smarter than this and I know science and, you just got to work hard and things will happen. And all this yoga is a bunch of BS and meditation is a bunch of BS. And I'm just going to drink and party and do all that stuff and make a lot of money and that's going to be great. And many of you, the youngsters, it's so funny. Old people look at us like I am an old person, but old people look at you or you look at them and you think they don't have any idea. And they're looking at you right back and thinking, wow, you don't have any idea. Like, oh, that's cute. You work at Google. Oh, that's cute. You have that big college exam coming. Oh, that's cute that you're really stressed about your homework. Your dad thinks or your mom thinks, and you're thinking, oh my God, you worked at a bank for 20 years. What do you know? You never went anywhere. You've never traveled overseas. You've never seen freaking Tiesto raving at, Tomorrowland or whatever the hell you youngsters do. And, we all think we have the answers. We all think we know better. Yet the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. You follow me, guys? So, I'm not a big fan of Bollywood. I don't really watch a lot of Hindi movies or Bollywood movies or regional Indian cinema movies, but that was some very sad news to hear. My wife is a huge Bollywood fan. She likes all the movies and stuff. So even my mom was talking to me about the recent suicide and, horrible, horrible stuff. And every day, every week, we see these things and we think, oh my goodness, this person had it all. They had all the money and the fame, or they were on their way, yet they did not want it, or, it was not what they thought it was going to be, et cetera, et cetera. And we do our song and dance, just like in America here, you see news articles about school shootings or racism. And then 3 weeks later, things kind of just settle as we all get caught up in our own world. Because ultimately you are the hero of your own movie. Am I right? I think we all are. Like, why do you guys listen to this podcast? It's not just to look at my beautiful face. It's also to hopefully find or hear some things that can apply to you. And like anything, especially with creativity and with artists and musicians and startup people and entrepreneurs and students who are looking for answers and people who are caught up in just working hard and then get something but realize it's not something else. You got to listen up because, I just got a new car and it was great. It was amazing. I was looking for a good deal, found one, thankfully. And I love it and I'm so happy. And the next day I see, on some message board, somebody has got the same car for like $5 less a month. And that just tainted the whole thing for me until I realized, you know what? I spend $5 on freaking Diet Cokes in a week. Like, I don't think I'm going to miss that $5 very much. And I need to stop salting this whole vehicle experience because somebody else got something else for a slightly better angle. And with life, when it comes to your own personal satisfaction, like when I saw the news of, what had happened the last few weeks, I was just like, man, that really sucks, obviously, but I was not a big cinema goer, so I have no attachment or affiliation to any actors per se, aside from like the evergreen actors of SRK, Amir Khan, and these guys. I really don't know much, and I don't hide that, and that's fine. And if you have a problem with that, I don't know why you should. That's like me telling you, you don't know who these comedians are. You don't know who these big Hollywood actors or singers are. Like, no, I choose not to watch too many movies because I'm on an e-learning binge. I love watching courses and stuff. So those are the celebrities in my head. But, anytime you hear a situation like this, it breaks your heart. And also it makes you question, like, mental health or well-being, or drinking and sex and partying and doing drugs, or making a lot of money and getting the American dream and coming to the US, or going to your IIT. Like, what can we say about that? And one thing that I've learned as I've got older, and trust me, dude, I have been there. I have, like, my big thing after college, like the one wish I had after college was I wanted no regrets. So I wanted to date people. I wanted to make money. I wanted to see the world and travel, and God bless, thank you, appreciate, like all those things happened, right? Like I got to at least, do the things I wanted to do. So I'm not coming at it from an angle of, like, those people who never made any money and then they tell you money's not everything. Well, I want to hear money's not everything from somebody who has a lot of it. You know what I mean? Because chances are that person has been there, done that. And like, why does Elon Musk continue to put in 75 hours or 100 hours a week working at a job harder than most college graduates when he doesn't need to work a day in his life anymore? Because money is not everything for your mental well-being, but I think, purpose and knowing what you want to do and having drive, could be. And again, clinical depression, like, I don't know much about that. Okay. Like, maybe I'm going to call this episode, like, mental health for people who aren't depressed. I don't know, because I've read about depression and I 100% believe it exists. A lot of my close friends, a lot of family I know suffer from depression. So this is not an episode or a chat about how depression is BS. Okay. No, no, no. I'm just saying you don't need to be depressed to feel sad. You don't need to be depressed, to like not know what you want to do or to be upset about things. Like, I've thought for many years, like, am I depressed? But the one thing I kept reading about depression was you just don't want to get out of bed and you don't see a need for, I mean, I have plenty of reasons to get out of bed. But when things don't work out, or when I'm really struggling, or, money is running low, or I think back to what money I could have made, or, I'm 28 and single with no options, and, my family is telling me to get married, or I'm thinking, did I make the wrong choices? Those are things that make anybody sad and make anybody upset and make anybody want to give up. So, when I was 28, 29, and I started to realize, okay, dude, nothing seems to be working, getting in shape and like going out to the bars doesn't seem to be working to give me what I want. Getting 1 million views or 5 million views on YouTube isn't necessarily what I thought it was. I mean, it's cool and it's awesome and I'm making some money, but I don't think I'm doing it right. And it's just not, most of the time when you see celebrity suicides, whether it's Kurt Cobain or was Amy Winehouse a suicide? I don't know. Or the folks in Bollywood or whoever. And I'm not mentioning any names, by the way, because I'm not trying to make it about that, right? I don't want to like tent pole off of or piggyback off of, oh, some celebrity killed himself. Let's talk about it. No, I want to talk about it as it relates to you and me, where when nothing is what it seems, what do you do? And, the thing I realized when, dude, as soon as I crossed 30, I was like, I'm no longer, nothing seems to be working. Working in the sense, like, I'm not where I want to be. Like, I know I have potential. I know I'm the coolest guy on stage or whatever. I know I'm freaking, I mean, that sounds a little cocky, but you know what I mean? You got to have some bit of confidence, not arrogance, but some bit of confidence to, kind of prove your mettle. And I know I'm capable of so many things, and I've helped so many other people reach their heights of capabilities that, I need to look for answers. And I think that's awesome. All right. So number one, for anybody who maybe isn't depressed, but, is kind of searching for answers or looking for what more to life. Number one, like Google says, just start searching. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, dude. Sometimes what's on page one, or sorry, sometimes the top result on Google is not necessarily the answer you need specifically. You know what I mean? I'm sure many of us, dude, for any digital marketers, and I'm going to talk about this in another episode, for any digital marketers, you might know that, uh, slot one on a Google SERP, search engine results page, gets like 40% of the clicks or 20% of the clicks or whatever it is. But the other two or three get a lot of clicks as well. Maybe you're searching for, best Bollywood movies, but maybe number two or number three is best Bollywood movies in 2020. And that's going to be way more relevant to somebody else who wants to watch something new today than, than like, ever. And on the same note for you, maybe you tried yoga once, or maybe, you were not happy with the fact that you were resigned to being single, or nobody was giving you any love, and you tried a dating app like once and it didn't work. And then you gave up. And, I was talking to a friend of mine recently who was in sales, and I was like, here's the problem that a lot of people face with sales is, they might have to realize. I just got called this morning from another lady who still thinks I'm looking for a car, even though I got my new car, Jasmine. She was outside. That's what I call her. I don't know why. She just reminds me of this like girl in like a black cocktail dress at BKC somewhere, Bandra Kula Complex. And only on my podcast do I explain what BKC stands for. And so, where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So basically I was like, all right, you got to be searching. But this girl called me and she's like, are you looking for a car? And she sounded like she was part of the SMS telephone generation where we don't talk on the phone, we just message. And I was like, wow, dude. So one of her bosses, who's like a 50-year-old rich white dude at some car dealership here in Orange County, California, is making this young girl get on the phone and physically call people to be like, how are you today? And for that Snapchatty person, that must be such an effort and so intimidating, and something that she doesn't want to do. But the fact that she called me, just like email marketing, for example, I actually gave her 30 seconds of my time to have a little chit chat and be like, oh, what deals did you have? Like, I already booked a car, but thank you. And she's like, oh my God, I appreciate it, but thanks. And I started to realize somebody like her, or somebody like you who like tried to start an app or tried to go to the gym or whatever, you make your first 5 responses might be no, or maybe failure, but then the next 20 might have worked. You know what I mean? And like a lot of people, and in this girl's case, I didn't give her the sale, but I guarantee you those phone calls serve a purpose way more than her trying to do something just by messaging people or whatnot. So that was really fascinating to me. And then the second thing I've come to realize is, dude, if you want to get help with anything, you need to tell people you're looking for help. You know what I mean? Like I say this over and over on my podcast, which is, if you don't believe what you're doing, how is anybody else going to believe what you're doing? And if you don't believe that your app is going to be successful, and you are actively looking for people on your newsfeed to help you with marketing it, or if that you're going to be a graphic designer, you're actively looking to meet people who are good at Photoshop and exchange ideas, or you don't believe that your mind is racing a million miles a minute, and how do you get control? Dude, I don't meditate for like being cool, or like I don't run for like the thrill of running. Like for me, everything usually has to have a means to an end. And I know they say, peace of mind, meditation, just go with the flow, power of now. But why are those books successful? Because human beings constantly have desire, desire, desire. Desire is usually what moves, the ball forward, whether it's desire to have money or it's desire to just be peaceful and be left alone and sit on the beach. Everything, it seems, is a desire. And dude, when I hear stories about people, who just kind of gave up on life, it breaks my heart, because like one thing people don't realize is life is constant, constant, constant motion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you got to sit and you got to chill and you got to be okay, but you need to constantly, like, we work on everything, dude. Like software gets updated software gets updated nonstop. There's version 1, like no one's ever done. Google is not done updating their algorithm. Your freaking Photoshop is not done being updated. Your cars get newer every year. We change our cars every 5 years. So why do we think when it comes to us, when physically we're evolving or or we are degrading or whatever you want to call aging, um, why are we I hope that was not a mouse, I'm so scared. But why are we the mouse is like, "I wanna hear your podcast, Sanjay." But why do we think that we don't need to be maintained? You know what I mean? Why do we think that our computer does not need updates and upgrades and also downtime? You know what I mean? And so like again, if you're clinically depressed, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. Or if you think you're clinically depressed where you have no desire to do anything, then maybe this episode is not for you because I have no idea what to say to you. But to the people who see stories like that and try to understand how they can empathize or sympathize, and I would love to know if any of you, honestly, before you Google it, know the difference between empathy and sympathy. And if you don't, please do yourself a favor and Google it right now because that's one thing that I think is very important these days, the difference between empathy and sympathy. But like when I see these things, when I see everything, it's how can this relate to me and how can I be a better person from this or how can I fix something in my life or improve something in my life. So um, you know, I urge anybody, number one, always admit that you are looking to do something, whatever your goals are. You have to shout it to the world. Okay, you don't have to shout it to the world, but you have to not have it be a secret. Because what a lot of us do in the Desi community, if we want to be stand up comedians, or, dude, my uncle is on Facebook, like a lot of your uncles probably are, and they are singing on this app called Smule, Smule, and they are just belting it, songs from like Shreya Ghoshal and like, A.R. Rahman, and like they're like duetting with like other aunties across the dude. This Mule app is gonna be like freaking Tinder for freaking uncles and aunties, dude, because my uncle is literally doing like Smule dub smash cross posting with like random aunties across the world. That's because those people always had that in them, but they never really owned it. You know what I mean? And that probably bugged them for a while. And I'm so happy to see technology is enabling that now. And so, tell people you don't got to put your name on it, but like make a fake account on Reddit or Gmail or sign up for stuff, but get active and get involved because you need that release. So, number one, admit it. Number two, if you're looking for a kind of answers or you're looking for kind of ways to just kind of maintain and update your mental health is obviously admitting it is number one. Number two is looking for it, searching for it, getting on Google, being active. Okay. Number three, recognizing that, dude, your brain is also a computer that constantly needs updates and needs work and needs downtime. Man, I was thinking about, this yesterday. Like, dude, our mind is like a browser, and like how many tabs are open on your browser at once? You know what I mean? And ladies, I feel some of you are a lot worse, but that's not sexist. Come on. I'm just saying, like, I've noticed on my wife's laptop, dude, her laptop is it's like a year old. She got it in Hong Kong, Apple discount. But there's like 300 tabs open on her Chrome. And for even though it makes no difference to my life, it just like breaks my heart. Like I feel bad for her processor for some reason. I'm just like, dude, there's 300 tabs. Why do you need 300 tabs? A cluttered office is a cluttered mind or whatever. And whereas for me, my Gmail is a bit cluttered, but I need like 4 tabs open at once because ultimately I try to do everything at once and I end up doing nothing. And I think for many people, Steve Jobs said the hardest thing is simplicity, but also, dude, the hardest thing is also picking a direction and sticking with it. So you may have a tab open for 18 Photoshop presets, another tab open on how to get your app to number one on the App Store, another tab open of how to hire cheap app developers, or another tab open about, why you're still single or whatever. But ultimately, you're crisscrossed in so many different directions that you're not accomplishing anything. And the mind is like, thankfully, it's no longer like Internet Explorer, but it is like a very crowded Chrome browser. And I urge you, anybody, who has 600 tabs open on their browser, to start closing them one by one and then start afresh, start anew. Do not reopen closed tabs, Command Shift F8 or Control T or whatever the hell the the keyboard shortcut is. So Again, guys, I will never sit here telling you guys, what my advice is. Everyone's mental health situations are different. If you're clinically depressed, if you've really got some serious issues, please get help. There's plenty of NGOs and groups in India that you can talk to that will take on sessions and all of that and discuss those things. But just remember, dude, like for a lot of us who are kind of in between, like we hear these stories and we're like, I know I'm not depressed, but I'm just like not happy and I don't really know what to do about it. And I know getting $1 million will make me happier, but it's not going to make me happy. And so, or eating that cake is going to make me happier temporarily, but then make me feel like crap 10 minutes later. Right. So, um, for me, what's worked for me and this podcast, and for a lot of you listening, is literally just applying myself and trying to constantly improve and update and upgrade because I felt, I quit drinking, but please, anybody who wants to keep drinking, have fun with it, dude. But just remember, you drink when you fail, you drink when you succeed too. So you pretty much just drink all the time. I would say drink in celebration of things. And for me, I've been on like a completely different trip. And even though I was late the last 3 weeks with another episode after being late a few weeks ago, I'm trying to get back on it. So bear with me. But yeah, those are just my sort of mental health hacks, if you will, that work for me. I would love to know what some of you do. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not cool, but dude, if you do these things, you are the sexy cool one. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing sexy about waking up at 6 a.m. to go work out when you're chilling with your boys at the bar, freaking doing MD, partying, having a good time, doing whatever you think you're doing. But guess who's killing it in life? It's the dude that goes to the bar, not every Friday, but shows up maybe once a month because he's out hustling or working on himself, the other 3 weeks. So there's a fine line there. But don't do what everybody else is doing, dude. I'll be your secret weapon. Let's do this together. So I hope that was helpful. Pardon me if I was a bit rusty this week, but those are kind of the things that work for me. So I will see you guys next week. Thanks.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num. A birdie num num.